You talk. You know what I mean? Saying he's too big to make featherweight. You're about this big. You know what I mean? He tries to call me fat in interviews, lad. Like, if you can't make featherweight, you're a fat little. You know what I mean? You're about 5'5". Like, at least I'm a big ass lightweight. You know what I mean? And I've never missed weight. I've never talked about moving up because I'm a professional. You know what I mean? You're a little.
So hopefully he puts himself in the spot where we can share the octagon one day, and he's gonna realize.
So you want to fight him?
I want to fight him. Of course I want it.
Paddy Pimblett has just called out Ilia Topuria after his big win over Michael Chandler. The rivalry between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria started in March 2022 during UFC Fight Night London. They had a confrontation at a hotel, which later turned into a heated argument on social media. This was made worse by Pimblett's comments about the Russo-Georgian War. After his impressive win over Michael Chandler at UFC 314, Paddy Pimblett responded to Ilia Topuria with clear dismissiveness. He said that Topuria had become so irrelevant that he forgot about him after the fight. Paddy pointed out that he's ranked higher in the lightweight division and criticized Topuria for waiting around, hoping for a title shot. He confidently stated that Topuria would face the same fate as Chandler, or even worse, and made it clear he's ready to fight anyone who steps up.
But I guess where does he fit not in this whole picture?
To be honest, about him. Got all about him. Or I would have mentioned him in the cage. You know what I mean? I don't call him hand sanitizer boy anymore. He's now El Chirito. But as I say, I literally all about him. That's how relevant he is. I'm ranked higher than he is at lightweight. So, you know, I'd love to welcome him to 155. But apparently, and out and waiting for the title shot. But you know, that what I've just done to Chandler's half the blueprint to beating him. He's even more of a midget than Chandler is. Like, I'll do the exact same thing to Ilia than what I've done to Chandler. But as I say, anyone can get it.
Oh yeah, we want that. I forgot to mention Ilia in the cage, to be honest. That's how irrelevant he is in my life. I forgot to even mention El Chirito. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even think of him. I'm ranked higher than him at lightweight.
Earlier, Ilia Topuria dismissed the idea of fighting Paddy Pimblett, questioning his importance and value as an opponent. He pointed out that Paddy's popularity comes more from social media than his fighting skills, mentioning his Instagram and YouTube followers. Topuria made it clear that he doesn't consider Paddy a serious contender or someone worth his time.
He's not even ranked. Why I have to fight him? What he got? Like Instagram followers, YouTube followers, a lot of people who are like more popular than him. I don't care about that.
In a more recent interview, Ilia Topuria changed his approach when talking about Paddy Pimblett. Despite having previously dismissed him, Topuria acknowledged that a fight between them could be exciting. He even said he's looking forward to it, suggesting that their rivalry might eventually lead to a fight in the octagon.
May, who knows, may in the future we face each other. It could be a great fight.
You and Paddy?
Me and Paddy. I'm looking forward for
Ilia Topuria further discussed the controversy between him and Paddy Pimblett by talking about the incident that started their feud. He explained that it began with a comment Paddy made about Georgia, Ilia's home country, during a heated exchange. According to Topuria, Paddy joked about the Russia-Georgia conflict, saying he now understood why Russia bombed Georgia. Ilia, who lived through the 2008 war, was deeply offended by this, stressing that such experiences shouldn't be joked about. This moment marked the start of their long-lasting rivalry.
He said some stupid shit about Georgia, about my country. He said something like, now I understand why Russia is throwing bombs to Georgia. And like, bro, you never live in a situation where your country had a war. I lived there in 2008. Don't joke with that.
Topuria expressed strong frustration over Paddy Pimblett's controversial comments about Georgia. He emphasized that while sports can be competitive, there are limits that should never be crossed. For Ilia, Paddy's remarks were not just trash talk. They made light of a real conflict that impacted people's lives. As an athlete, Ilia stressed the importance of respect, especially when sensitive issues like war are involved. He made it clear that joking about such tragedies is unacceptable.
Can you say this kind of you know what I mean? You can joke. Sport is sport. We athletes, I respect all of that. But there are lines that you can't cross, you know? The people's lives are involved in this joke. You can't do that.
Sean Ali commented on the ongoing feud between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria, pointing out the noticeable size difference between them. He noted that Paddy is much bigger than Ilia, even though they are only one weight class apart. Ali didn't take sides on who would win, but highlighted how obvious the physical difference is, comparing it to himself standing next to much smaller fighters. Sorry, Siashins.
I wish they would do that Topuria versus Paddy fight. I know it's different weight classes, but the beef's there.
And just the levels
Shit
are
out of him.
they're just so different.
Yeah.
And the UFC knows that. They're
I
not
feel
stupid.
like Paddy literally is way bigger than Ilia. I'm not saying he'd win or lose. I'm just saying it's crazy to think they're only one weight class difference, but he's way bigger.
Yeah, but if you saw Paddy on weight, close to weight, you'd be like, oh, he's not that huge.
I think you would be like, holy, these guys look way different. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Just the
Paddy's a
height?
big guy. Yeah, height, just everything. Like me and Schmitty stand next to each other. Way bigger than them.
Moreover, Ilia Topuria made it clear that he's open to fighting Paddy Pimblett, expressing a strong desire for the matchup to happen while they're both active and in the same division. He admitted he wants the fight, but also took a jab at Paddy's well-known habit of fluctuating in weight. Ilia mocked Paddy's physique, sarcastically calling him Party Pimple.
So hopefully he puts himself in the spot where we can share the octagon one day and he's gonna realize
So you want to fight him?
I want to fight him. Of course I want it. Of course. While I'm an active fighter, right now we are in the same weight division. Yeah, look how fat he looks.
But he does that quite often, right? He puts on the weight and then he trims down. He puts on the weight and he trims down.
Pimple.
That's part of his
Little pimple.
little pimple.
Yeah, Paddy Pimblett. Yeah. He gets so fat, I don't know, anti-athletic.
On the other hand, Paddy acknowledged Ilia's growth as a fighter, admitting that he's improved, even though he still thinks he's a bellend. He laughed off Ilia, calling him fat, pointing out the irony that Ilia can't even make weight in his own division anymore. Paddy mentioned that Ilia is smaller than Michael Chandler, and warned that his performance against Chandler next Saturday will speak for itself.
Of his evolvement, because that was a long time ago, and now he's kind of leveled up
yeah,
crazy,
he has.
right?
But we always knew he was a good fighter. Know what I mean? Even though I hate him and I think he's a bellend, I wouldn't lie and say he's a fighter. And it made me laugh when he said, "What did he say? He called me fat." That's like, lad, you can't make your weight division anymore that you are champion of. He's a midget, lad. He's tiny. He's smaller than Michael Chandler. You'll see what I do to Michael Chandler next Saturday night when I dismantle.
Topuria didn't stop there, criticizing Pimblett's fighting ability by calling him anti-athletic and questioning his skill level. He labeled Paddy as an average fighter, suggesting that his performances are inconsistent, sometimes impressive, other times disappointing. Ilia's remarks painted a picture of disdain, highlighting the deep tension and personal animosity between the two fighters.
And to be honest, I don't know what to tell you. If he's a good fighter, he's not a good fighter. Sometimes his fight sucks. Sometimes he does something that looks good. I don't know. He's a very average level of fighter. Let's say like that.
Another interview, Paddy spoke about the ongoing tension with Ilia, admitting that there will always be bad blood between them. He recalled a recent moment backstage when Ilia passed by, gave him a look, and Paddy couldn't help but laugh and mimic the gesture. Despite the tension, he said they exchanged a sort of sarcastic hello, but made it clear he wasn't going to start anything on stage and take attention away from his teammate Nathan, who was about to fight. The dislike, Paddy said, is still very much mutual.
Still always going to be bad blood just because we've seen him. I seen him the other week on stage and he was stood next to Hunter and I touched him down. That was because in the back, as he walked through, it was funny, all the security are like that. And as he walked through, he just looked at me and went like that. and I just started laughing my head off and done that back.
So you gave each other a nice hello?
Yeah,
Okay.
and obviously I'm not going to start hitting him on stage and taking publicity away from my teammate Nathan who was about to fight. So yeah, it's just one of them, because we still don't like each other.
On the other hand, Ilia Topuria spoke strongly about Paddy Pimblett, saying they are not on the same level as fighters. He felt disrespected by being compared to Paddy and said it was offensive to him, his country, and his people. He warned Paddy not to cross paths with him, or there would be serious consequences. Ilia believes Paddy is trying to get attention by making fun of others, but he made it clear that's not how he wants to build his name.
You're like beefing with like Paddy the baddie.
The quality of the fighter he is, man, come on, please. Don't even compare me to that boom, because we are on different level. And everyone can see that. It's very disrespectful to me, to my country, to all my people. And he said something. Now I understand why the Russians put the bombs in Georgia. When you start to joke about that kind of things, just make sure that we don't find each other anywhere, because I'm gonna take you head off. He wants to build his hype laughing at people, and that's not the way I'm looking to build.
Moreover, Michael Bisping discussed the rivalry between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria, stating that Paddy's trash talk was a great strategy. He acknowledged that having a rivalry with Ilia was beneficial, as Topuria had become one of the biggest stars in the sport. Bisping also praised Topuria's remarkable rise to stardom in the featherweight division, calling it phenomenal.
Paddy's talking and it's a great thing to do. Of course, have a rivalry with Ilia Topuria. He's one of the biggest stars in the sport right now. His absolute rise to stardom in the featherweight division was phenomenal, right? So for Paddy Pimblett, who's got a really tough fight against Michael Chandler coming up soon, we'll talk about that in a bit. For Paddy Pimblett...
However, Ilia Topuria has vacated his featherweight title to pursue the lightweight championship, with a bout against Islam Makhachev currently in the works. Moreover, Jorge Masvidal praised Ilia Topuria's grappling, saying he'd bet the house on him. He highlighted Ilia's exceptional takedown defense and offensive grappling, noting that if an opponent shoots recklessly, Ilia can reverse the position and take control, often putting them in dangerous territory.
I'd bet the house on Ilia. His grappling, offensively, it's very good. If you shoot it on this guy's legs, and you make a mistake, and you're the one going for the takedown, he has a very good chance that he might put you out.
Michael Chandler admires Ilia Topuria's fighting style, noting how he stays calm and balanced until landing the knockout punch. He believes Topuria could catch Islam Makhachev, but if the fight lasts past 15 minutes, Islam's size would give him the advantage.
If Islam and Ilia Topuria go at it, who do you think wins?
Ilia Topuria may be one of my favorite guys to watch stylistically. How he doesn't force things, not getting emotional, not pushing too hard, also not taking his foot off the gas. He's just right there in the middle until he lands the big knockout punch. So I think he could catch Islam, but if that fight goes anything past 15 minutes, I think Islam beats him handedly, just because Islam is a large 155er, and I don't think Ilia is that big. But ton of respect for both of those guys, especially Ilia.
Bon Nicol sees Islam Makhachev as the pound-for-pound #1, but believes Ilia Topuria could do well against him. He cited Alexander Volkanovski's wrestling in their first fight with Islam as an example of how Topuria could potentially have success.
I think he's the pound-for-pound #1 right now, and I think he can win. And what makes me think that Ilia will do really well against Islam is that Volk's first fight with Islam. I'm like, man, Ilia's wrestling is way better than Volk's. And obviously, you could see how the striking.
For Dustin Poirier believes Islam Makhachev is bigger than Ilia Topuria, but thinks Ilia has the power to knock out anyone from 145 to 170 lbs. He also thinks Islam could win the 170 lb belt if he wanted to.
Dude, Islam's a big guy. Big guy. I think he's going to be a lot bigger than Topuria. But that being said, Topuria is an assassin, and I believe he can knock out anybody from 145 pounds to 170 pounds.
You think Islam could become the champion at upper weight class, maybe 170 if he wanted to?
Yeah, I believe Islam could win the 170-pound belt.
Max Holloway believes Islam Makhachev's well-rounded skills make it tough to bet against him. He thinks Islam's experience and control would likely prevent Ilia Topuria from winning.
Ilia versus Makhachev, what would you think? Who would win?
I mean, bro, it's hard to go against Islam. His fighting style is a tough one. You know, he likes wrestling. He likes striking. Now he's falling in love with his striking. It's hard to bet against Islam. At the end of the day, if he gets it, that's cool, but probably not. He has Volk and Diego driving down the door right now, so I think they might keep him down.
Alexander Volkanovski acknowledged that Islam Makhachev is really good, but he also highlighted that Ilia Topuria has the power to knock out anyone with his hands.
How would you see that fight going between Islam and Ilia?
Yeah, I mean, Islam's really good, you know what I mean? But again, Ilia's the type of guy that he could knock out anyone.
So he's got power in them hands, you know what I mean? Everyone knows that. You go in there, fight him, you know that that's his chance.
John Ali shared his thoughts on a potential matchup between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, recognizing Islam's size advantage but praising Ilia's impressive skill set. He believes it could turn into a future super fight if both fighters continue to perform at a high level.
You gotta tell me you wouldn't be interested in Ilia versus Islam. God, I mean, Islam is quite a bit bigger, but I feel like Ilia's skill level is just so high. Obviously, so is Islam. So that could be a potential super fight here in a few years if those guys keep doing that.
Arman Sarukian shared his thoughts on a potential clash between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, describing it as a close and competitive matchup. He acknowledged Topuria's sharp boxing, but noted that he hasn't faced someone with Islam's level of wrestling. Arman believes the fight could go either way, and mentioned that if it's not him getting the title shot, Ilia likely will.
If Islam and Ilia fought for the title, how do you see that one playing out?
It's a tough fight. He better king with boxing. He never fought with guys who can wrestle very well like Islam. So we'll say it's a 50-50 fight.
Do you think they're going to give Ilia the opportunity to fight Islam for the title if it's not you?
I think so. I'm open for everybody from top 5.
Cody Brundage discussed the potential matchup between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, acknowledging how impressive Ilia has been lately, especially with his knockouts of notable fighters like Holloway and Volkanovski. Brundage mentioned that if Ilia were to knock out Islam as well, he would be in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time, possibly even making it to the top 3.
It's a crazy fight. You know, we talked about that. You know, Yusuf obviously at 145, he's on a tear. He's making his come up, and he wants that Ilia fight so bad. They already fought once, but we were talking about if Ilia goes in and knocks out Islam Makhachev, like how high do we put him on the GOAT list? Right? Like to me, I'm like, John Jones is #1 no matter what. I don't think anybody could surpass John Jones for a long time. Obviously it would take a ton, but everyone in my circle at least is like, man, if he goes and knocks out Islam after knocking out Holloway, after knocking out Volk, he's got to be up there like top 3.
However, Brundage also pointed out that despite some people underestimating Ilia's grappling, he's a very skilled wrestler and black belt with great submissions. That being said, Brundage leaned toward Islam winning the fight due to his size advantage, suggesting that weight could play a significant factor when both fighters are so highly skilled. Ultimately, he believes the fight would be a thrilling and competitive contest.
And he could do it. I think people, like, he's been knocking all these people out. People really sleep on Ilia's grappling. He's a super high-level black belt with really good submissions, really good wrestling. And so I think people are worried, like saying, like, oh, well, he'll get out-wrestled, but he has great wrestling. So, man, I don't know. I would have to go with Islam because he's bigger, and I think weight maybe plays a factor when you have two really highly skilled guys, but that would be an absolute banger.
Jamal Hill expressed strong belief in Ilia Topuria's ability to beat Islam Makhachev. He praised Ilia's hand speed, striking creativity, and knockout power, saying that if Ilia lands clean, he can finish anyone, even in higher weight classes.
I believe he's capable of beating Islam. Just what I've seen and personally too, just like hand speed, the tricks and the way he plays with his striking game. I believe he's definitely capable of catching Islam. And if he catches anybody, I believe he can knock them out. I believe his power might even carry. Not saying that his size and things like that, he can move up to like those higher weight classes, but if he catches it, the way he hits it, if somebody even in a bigger weight class get like that, he can put them on a wobble string.
John Bowakovic acknowledged that Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev would be a very good fight to watch. However, he emphasized that Islam is currently in his prime and believes no one can stop him at the moment, suggesting that Islam will dominate for a few more years.
It's gonna be a very good fight for watch. So, but I think Islam is like, right now he got his prime time, and nobody will stop him. Couple more years.
Arnold Allen shared that he'd be interested in seeing a matchup between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, though he understands why Islam might be hesitant, given his history of facing last-minute opponents. Allen thinks Islam now wants to solidify his legacy by taking on top-ranked contenders. However, Allen added that if Islam were to defeat Ilia, it would still be a huge statement.
I'd like to see him fight Islam. But I mean, I understand why Islam wouldn't want it, right? He wants to fight legit contenders, and he's had like featherweights, ex-featherweights, late notice guys, replacements. He wants to sort of solidify his title reign, but probably is no bigger fight than Ilia, right? If he goes and batters Ilia, it looks pretty good.
Paddy believes Ilia Topuria has great potential, praising his distance control, striking, and strong grappling background from Brave. He's impressed by how quickly Ilia improved his striking, but is concerned about the size difference in grappling exchanges. Despite this, Cha favors Islam in the matchup.
Get it done.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite guys to watch right now. His distance game. I mean, if you've seen him when he was like 6 or 7-0 at Brave before the UFC, he would just take guys down and just grapple. You know, I think that was his biggest strength. That's why I'm so impressed with that guy, because for him to be as good in striking in a short amount of time, understanding the game and how he runs his offense, it's phenomenal. So the size factor is my biggest concern, and I think the grappling, we'll see what happens, but I like Ilia.
As for a prediction, Alan admitted he's often been wrong when doubting fighters in the past, so he's not counting Ilia out. Still, he sees Islam as the likely winner, though not without facing serious resistance. It's one of those matchups that feels like it could go either way, and honestly, that's what makes it so exciting. What part of the fight are you most looking forward to?